What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Wednesday's late night agenda. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Appreciate you dropping in to have a chat with me. A couple of early thank yous to get out of the way. Ace and Tino said any Turkish players that we're interested in, and hello everyone. And thank you, mate, for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Great way to kick off the stream. And you've gifted 5 memberships as well. Absolute legend, sir. Thank you. And in answer to your question, the only one that I've really seen links to is the guy from Real Madrid, Arda, whatever his name, Güler. But I don't even believe those. But they're the only real players I've seen links to. There's been some soft links to a couple of defenders, a goalkeeper or so from Turkey, but no major links. I do agree with you, though. They are a very good, technically proficient team, so I've no qualms about looking at them, and I understand where you're coming from. They do look like a very well set up side. Right, Mark has gifted a membership as well. Thank you, Mark. Really do appreciate that. We didn't put out a video earlier on today because, quite frankly, we didn't think there was enough content to put out a video, and we're not going to do it just for the sake of it. We also realised that people are a little bit fed up of all the guessing games as well, and I get it. I see it. I'm the same. I said it to Connor earlier on. It's really difficult at the minute to figure out where we're at, isn't it? So we didn't want to do that tonight. We wanted to just start a conversation about the fact that we do need to spend, what we need to do, who you guys think is realistic. We're going to take a look at some of the players and the odds of them coming to Liverpool and loads of other bits and pieces. But I thought it'd just be a nice fun stream tonight to kick us off with. So, Euro winner prediction said 7DVZE, and thank you, my friend, for your super chat as well. Really appreciate it. Before the tournament, I would have said England or France. I did say England or France, but I can't say that with any certainty after seeing the way both nations have entered the tournament so far. Now, they'll both argue, of course, they got through. They're into the knockout stages, and that was the goal at the start of the tournament, but they wouldn't be filling me full of hope or optimism if I was a fan of either country, if I was a French person or an English person. So, right now, off what we're seeing, Spain, Germany, I mean, it looks like it could be an open enough tournament, and it's certainly been good viewing. Today's game's a little bit sketchy, obviously, because they're so close and teams are just wanting to get through to that next stage. But yeah, all in all, mate, I think you can never discount the French because they could turn it on at any point. They've got Mbappe, they've got Griezmann, they've got a really good team. But all in all, I don't think there's a clear, obvious favourite from what we've seen so far in the tournament. Others may, of course, have a different thought. Mark, again, another membership gifted. Thank you. Appreciate that, sir. Eddie Cox-Wilkins, thank you as well, Eddie. Really appreciate your super chat, mate, and good evening to you as well. Germany, yeah, look, you can never discount the home fan or the home team in the tournament. And Germany got off to a really good start. They look like they have an identity, which is something that isn't that common for me when you watch international teams. But I tell you what I enjoyed, just before we get stuck into all the transfer news and talk. I watched the Argentina-Chile game last night in the Copa America. I think it's the third game I've managed to catch so far in the competition. And it was like a throwback. It was brilliant. It was good to see Argentina mix it up. We know they've got the technical proficiency. We know how good they are. But Chile got stuck into them last night and Argentina stood up to it. And I really enjoyed it. Good old-fashioned physical game with some good technical play in it as well. Only a 1-0 scoreline, but I have to say I really did enjoy it. I thought it was brilliant. And yeah, well done to the ref for letting the game flow as well. Rachel Todd, thank you for gifting an Anfield Agenda membership, Rachel. Really appreciate that. The Liverpool Prophet? I nearly said Prophet, mate. In fact, I did. The Liverpool Prophet, which is a bit of an irony with John W. Henry around, isn't it? The words Liverpool and Prophet. Craig, it's not looking good, bro. This summer is huge for Salah and FSG not showing ambition. I'm trying my best, mate. I promise you to not go in. Yeah, to hang off, because I know that it's a busy time. I know that the club have lots of stuff to get sorted. And I know that others are starting to do a bit of business. I'm trying to be optimistic and look ahead, but it does start to feel a little bit like maybe this is going to be a tight arse summer, which I'm with you. I think it's crazy if that's the case. New manager, yes, you can talk about not wanting to mix it up too much, but you also want to make sure that he works, he succeeds, and he's given the best tools. So it's not time to get panicky just yet, but, you know, a bit of positivity would be nice, wouldn't it? Something to get our teeth stuck into, whether that's a contract renewal, a player coming in, anything, even a sale at this point to give us a bit of clarity about what the squad build may entail. So we've started to see a little bit, and we'll talk about it tonight, about the likes of Tyler Morton and the interest in him from Leipzig and other clubs. Will that lead to Liverpool maybe getting a little bit of a cash windfall? The problem with that is, if we're waiting for that type of business, it might be later in the window, which of course wouldn't leave us a whole lot of time to bring in reinforcements. Ugarte or Ederson? For me, Ty, and the way that we play, I think Ederson is a better fit. But Ugarte is a good player, and I wouldn't have any qualms about Liverpool signing him. United apparently in the mix as well. 50 million, we know the price tag. But I can't sit here and say to you, mate, with any confidence that he's even in the conversation. I'm getting really confused because every day I read news stories in the media, and it's going from we don't need a centre-back to it's the top of the priority list for some of the journalists. It's all very confusing, which is a good thing if there's a plan in place. And I certainly do have a belief in Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and the team, but you know where my lack of belief is, and that's in, unfortunately, the men that write the cheques. I just don't have any faith there that they've any ambition to want to really win. Scotty, how are you, sir? And Liz, welcome back to Anfield Agenda FC, Liz, as well. Lovely to see you in. And as always, much love to yourself, Ian, and the family as you continue your recovery, Liz. Scotty said, question, Craig. When do you see us getting anybody? And love to you and your family. Also the best community on here, WFM. Thank you, Scotty. Much love to you as well, bro. I'd be guessing. And that's the thing, I'm trying to be as honest as I can this summer, because I get it. When I come on and I talk about players and they don't arrive, it becomes a bit boring for some. It becomes a bit frustrating. People are sick of clicky headlines. People are sick of links that lead to nothing. But all I can do is be honest and come on every day, tell you what I've read, tell you what I've been able to find out. But it's really difficult in this window. So I'm kind of sailing blind. And just hoping that when we come together in the evenings for these streams, that between us all, maybe we can, put together a bit of a picture of what is happening. So to kick us off, I thought I'd look at Eberechi Eze, because he's a name that's been doing the rounds quite a bit over the last few days. And I didn't know how strong Liverpool's interest was or wasn't, but also I didn't know quite how far down the pecking order for the bookies we are with the possibility of signing Eze. So, just to give you a flavour, and of course it is just an indication, it's just, bookies' odds are basically just what people are putting the money on. But Liverpool to sign Eze with the bookies at the minute is 12-1, which is it's a long shot if you look at it. And there are 4 teams above us who the bookies believe are more likely to sign Eze. Chelsea are priced at 10-1, Manchester City 9-1, Arsenal 5-1. But the favourites to sign Eze, and this really took me and Connor by surprise because neither of us had heard about the interest, are Spurs. Spurs are even money. So, you bet 20, you could win 20. That's the bookies think that they are the most likely by a good way, because the next closest is Arsenal at 5-1, and as I said, we're all the way down at 12-1. So, it's not definitive, it's just where the money is going at the minute. But yeah, Liverpool don't look like they're really even in that race. I did go through and find something really interesting on the Echo website, because every so often there is a little kernel of gold on there, and I went through, and the Echo have this thing where you can sell or keep the whole squad. So you go through and you go through the entire list of players and you press sell or keep, and at the end of it, it gives you a readout of what everybody's voted. And I'm going to go through the outcome of that tonight, because it truly shocked me how definitive some of the answers are of what people want with certain members of our squad. So I'll go through that in a while, and I think some of the results may surprise you, because they certainly did me. That rumour isn't true. Crystal Palace fan made up the rumour, apparently. I've seen, yes, the only thing that I've seen about Eze seems to have come from Palace accounts or Palace media. So I'm with you. I do agree. Where I am confused, though, is the Nico Williams situation, because we're getting different stories again here. So we had Fabrizio saying Liverpool were looking at him. He never really committed to say Liverpool are favourites or pushing hard, but we knew we were looking at him and he was an option. Then we got the stuff from James Pearce to say that Liverpool, I think it was James Pearce, it was certainly The Athletic, to say Liverpool aren't necessarily looking at Williams at all in this market. In fact, he isn't on the list. But then we have Ben Jacobs saying Liverpool cannot be ruled out of the race for Nico Williams. He has a release clause of just over £45 million, which is seen as value in the market. Stumbling point there would of course be his wages, which are pretty high. So I'm really confused. And I know it sounds like I'm always taking cheap shots at the journalists, but they seem to be very cocksure of who we're not signing, but nobody's able to tell us who we really are interested in. So I kind of don't believe any of it at the moment, and I'm sure many of you are the same. You probably come onto these streams going, yes, Craig, shut up. We don't want to hear about all these media links, but that's all we can really do at the minute, is just give you guys a heads up on where we are. And if you are with us for the first time, maybe tuning in, do hit that subscribe button. Drop a like on the stream for me if you can as well. We appreciate your support. And what is a pretty quiet time for Liverpool at the minute. FSG are cheap. Yes, they are. They are. And I know every time I say the words, where's the money, John, and FSG are cheap, I know two things happen. One, I alienate some of the Liverpool fan base who are supportive of the owners. And two, I'm digging my own grave bigger for no way I'm getting near anybody at the club at any point. But all I can ever do is just be myself and give you my honest opinion. And my opinion is that they're cheap. For anybody out there believing Liverpool have no money, think again. Liverpool can go and spend big this summer, make a statement. Yes, Stevie boy, we can. And, you know, looking at the PSR figures, there's only 4 or 5 days left before the financial window or the financial year comes to an end for football clubs. And Liverpool had the ability to spend 173 million quid, something like that, without going near PSR or without falling a foot of PSR. So absolutely 100% you were spot on. There is ability to spend money. So that's where I get a little bit confused, because if we can agree that the ability to spend money is there, and we can agree that the people that we have at the club are quite good at sourcing and finding players who more often than not are a positive input to the squad, I'm genuinely then confused what it is going to take for FSG to ever really splash the dough. And I think the answer is they won't. And I think, like I've said about the Salah deals and others, some of this stuff's really obvious, but people are just in denial about it. And the owners have never, ever come in and made a statement, in my opinion, in their entire time at the club, in the market. They've done great stuff infrastructurally at the club, absolutely. Put good people in good positions. But they haven't ponied up the dough or even come close to our competitors. Darryl said FSG's ambitions are just top 4, Craig, and it's a disgrace. I agree with you, mate. I do, and I take no pleasure in saying it. I don't understand why they won't throw a little bit more money at it. I know that they're very good at briefing certain parts of the media about magical reasons why we can't, like high wage bills and all this stuff, but there's always an excuse. It's like a child coming back to you, never taking responsibility for something. There's always an excuse. There's always a reason why in this particular instance it didn't happen or didn't work. But ultimately the proof of the pudding's in the eating, and we look back over their ownership of the club and the net spend. Drew Vatt said, I like them. That's fine, mate. I'm not here to judge you. You're entitled to your opinion on the owners as much as you want. But what I can't stand is people who defend the owners and then moan about the results, or defend the owners and moan about the fact that we're falling away at the end of a season because our players are exhausted or we don't have enough squad depth. I don't think those two things are compatible. You know, let's say injuries, right, as an example. Most of us could look at the Liverpool squad and pick out 6 or 7 people that will probably pick up injuries at one point or another throughout the season. Some of them in positions that we're already light in. So when we see that we're struggling to fill centre-back roles and then we're told that we don't need a centre-back, I don't know who they're trying to convince, because we can see it. We can all see it, you know. Liverpool fans are knowledgeable. Liverpool fans are known for being knowledgeable. And we look at the squad and I think we're all very realistic about it. Nobody wants us to go out there and sign, well, nobody expects us, is probably fairer, to go out there and sign Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. in a window. But we should be absolutely out there being able to spend money on the likes of, I don't know, a good centre-back or a top-notch defensive midfielder, and not be told that either we're not in the market for one or we've been looking for 3 years and we still haven't found one. I once heard that there's a saying, their money for some new MLS club. You see, again, I think we look at this wrongly. I don't equate anything that happens at Liverpool with anything that FSG do elsewhere. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I've never really looked at them and thought, oh, they spend money on the Red Sox, so they're not spending money on Liverpool. Because Liverpool itself, as an entity, has the ability to spend this money or to take on a little bit of debt. Debt isn't always a dirty word in football. And, you know, look at the Swiss Rambler or many other very articulate people like Paul Tompkins who can explain this to you far better than I can. Our owners just choose not to spend. And the fact that they've got away with it for so long because of Jurgen and because of us overperforming, I think this is the acid test for them now. With Arne Slot, will they back the manager? Right, I'm going to start going through bits and pieces of the news. But the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was that poll, right, on the Echo, where you can go through, do it yourself if you get a chance. Go over to the Echo, go through, and they have a poll where you can vote keep or sell, keep or sell, keep or sell. Who do you think was the highest on the list that people absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, wanted to keep? In fact, 97.3% of people that voted wanted to keep this player. Who do you think's top of the list? We'll play a little game with it before I run through the list. Craig, we live in a debt society, mate. You don't need to tell me, bro. Trust me, you don't need to tell me. McAllister, yes, McAllister. You're spot on. McAllister is Mo, the Red Baron. You're going to be surprised on Mo when I get to his name in a second. But yes, it is Alexis McAllister. 97% of Liverpool fans that voted in this sell or keep want to keep McAllister. So we'll go down through the list one by one for you. Harvey Elliott was second on the list. 95.3% of the people that voted in the poll in the Echo want to keep Harvey Elliott at Liverpool. Trent came in third place with 94.6% of people who think Trent needs to stay at the club or want Trent to stay at the club. Andy Robertson was next with 93%. Van Dijk came in after Robbo with 92.7%. I think this is interesting because there's three players that we know have 1 year to go on their contracts. And two of them are at the very top of the list in the I want to keep them category. And the other one, well, we'll get to the other one later. But Trent and Van Dijk are up in the top five. Liverpool fans making it very clear in this poll. They want to keep those two people at the football club. Graham Jackson, thank you for your super sticker, bro. I better just say thank you to you before I move on through the list. But thank you, mate. Appreciate you. So next on the list is Dominic Szoboszlai with 92% of Liverpool fans wanting to keep Dom. After Dom, Diogo, 92% as well. Alisson, 92%. Stefan Bajcetic then, we're down into the 80% now. Stefan Bajcetic is wanted to keep at the club by 86% of Liverpool fans. Cody Gakpo, 84%. Wataru Endo, 82.7%. Ben Doak, 82%. Kanade, 79.6%. Joe Gomez, 77%. Bobby Clark, 77.1%. Gravenberch, 76%. Darwin Núñez, 72.5%. Lucho, 68%. Cade Gordon, I'm getting ahead of myself. Cade Gordon, 64%. Kelleher, 61%. Then comes Mo. 53% of Liverpool fans want to keep Mo, and the other 47% want to sell him. That to me tells a tale, because up at the other top of the list we had Trent and Van Dijk. They're all in the same contractual situation. I think Liverpool fans are very clear on what they want to happen with Mohamed Salah. And again, the public, the media, they're all living in denial. You know? It's incredible. Like, to think about it this way, more Liverpool fans want to keep Bobby Clark at the club than Mohamed Salah at the minute. More Liverpool fans want to keep Curtis Jones at the club than Mohamed Salah at the minute. Cade Gordon, Lucho, like, it is incredible to me how low I think he's third or fourth last on this list. Now, you can't tell me that that's just me anymore that thinks it's the right decision to sell when it's nearly a 50-50 split. If Salah had 3 years left on his deal, he'd be 90% simple. But he doesn't. So it isn't simple, David. That's the whole point of this, mate. Like, you know, if I was 6 inches taller and a few stone lighter, I'd probably be a lot better looking and in better shape. But I amn't. You know, and it's the same with Salah. We are where we are, and talking about hypotheticals won't address the situation, nor will it make it go away. So it is where it is. You know, what do we do? For me, it's clear. I got a lovely email from somebody who was defending the Mohamed Salah side and was sticking up for Mo, but it was a beautiful email, very well worded, nothing at all abusive, or laid his points out really well. I disagreed on many of the points with the viewer and explained my reasoning why. As basically, I look at it like this. The viewer tried to equate the impact that Salah's had to the impact that Kloppo has had, which is admirable, but I don't think is a fair comparison. I think it's kind of apples and oranges, because when you bring in a manager, one, you're not usually expecting that manager to make you money in the longer term with a sale. Two, most of the time you don't pay to bring in a manager. In Arne Slot's case, yes, we have. But also, a manager doesn't get worse the older he gets. Whereas with Mohamed Salah, Liverpool invested money into Mohamed Salah. So one of the points made by the viewer in the email was that Rami Abbas has already warned Liverpool not to try and sell Salah in his last deal because he'll just sit it out. And that was the bit that got me. Who the hell is Rami Abbas to dictate to Liverpool what will and won't happen? And why should we care what Rami Abbas Issa wants to do? Because Rami Abbas Issa has one job, to do the best for his player. And that's admirable. That's his job. I've no problem with that. He's fighting Mo's corner. That's what he's there to do. But we owe him no allegiance. The club owe him no allegiance. And the question that I put to everybody is, who would you rather have the 100 million quid? Salah or the club? And I'm a Liverpool fan. So it's always easy for me. I always will side with what's best for the long-term future of the club, not for an individual. So I was a bit taken aback by it, but I just wanted to bring it up because I thought he addressed it in such a balanced way that it was a pleasure to read the email and respond. I'm saying offer him a new deal. But why would you offer him a new deal, Chris? I mean, let's have this conversation. If you think Salah should get a new deal, why? And I think if you're being honest with yourself, the reason is just to protect the value. It's not because you think he's going to get better, because he's not going to get any better. We've seen the best of him. He could be okay, he could do numbers, but he ain't going to get better. And if you're just doing it to keep the transfer value, then why are we hanging around now? Sell him now. Or put him on the sideline for next season. The whole thing confuses me because I think people let their emotions rule their head because they become attached to a player, which again is admirable. We all fall in love with these guys. They do magical stuff that makes us love the game. But ultimately our allegiance, most of us, should be to the club and what's best for the health of the club and the future of the club. New haircut, new era for Salah. He is rocking the haircut. I think it really suits him. He does look good with the tighter hair and the beard. And did you see the photos of him again on holiday? I mean, the man is just... He's just an Adonis when it comes to physical specimen. Like, you'd never say that he goes out of season and gets out of shape, right? And he always looks after himself. But you know who's undefeated? Father Time. Undefeated. And it just feels to me like if we don't sell him this summer, he's leaving on a free next year and there's nothing we can do about it. Based on the second half of the season, he's not getting a deal unless reduced wages, which isn't happening. Exactly. That would be my take on it as well, mate. I can't see him accepting less money, and I can't see the club wanting to give him more money. I can see a situation where Arne Slot would rather have him around, of course. You know, what manager wouldn't want to keep a good player around? But we're not talking about this from the gaffer's perspective. We're talking about it from the fact that we need to go and strengthen. And whether we plan for this summer or next summer, we do need to plan for a successor on that right-hand side. And so far, we haven't got a clue who that may be. Because Ben Doak's still a good bit away. Cade Gordon's had really bad luck with injuries. So on that right-hand side, I can't really see a successor. If you look to the left, you could make an argument for Gakpo, you could make an argument for Diaz, you could talk about playing Darwin out on the left-hand side. On the right, you're into the territory of Elliott and Dominic Szoboszlai, which aren't natural wide players for me. Well, I say that even though Szoboszlai did play on the right of a midfield for Leipzig, but in a different way, in more of a 4-2-2-2 system. 1 year extension maybe. Again, I feel like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, don't get me wrong. But I feel like it'd be just kicking the can down the road, that we're going to be in the same position next summer. You know, I think we've had plenty of time to figure out what we wanted to do with Salah, with Verge and with Trent. And the fact that they're all now 5 days away from being in the last year of their contract scares the bejesus out of me, because I don't understand it. I've said it all the way through the summer. I just don't understand it. How do you let this happen? The club is always bigger than any player. Take the money and move forward. Exactly, Les. And we also have to think about what type of club we are, mate. We're not a Chelsea, where we can make these speculative financial decisions. We know that's not the type of owner we have. We're not a cash-generating machine to the length of a Real Madrid or anything like that. We have to make every penny count. And in doing that, you've got to make sure that the money that you bring back in for players is good as well. And Michael Edwards has always been really good at that. Look at the money for Jordan Ibe, Brad Smith, and some of the other players we've on Dominic Solanke, Ryan Brewster. Like, we've always turned over good money for players and brought in good money. But if Salah leaves on a free, we've let him, Firmino and Mane go for €30 million in total, which seems just wasteful. Uh, 210 Records said, love to see Mo play out his contract unless it's silly money, then it is what it is. So 210 Records, my question to you, bro, is if you're happy to see Salah play out his contract, would you be happy next summer being told you couldn't afford to bring in a replacement? Genuine question. Because the point about a player signing on and fulfilling his contract is a fair point. You know, that's what they're required to do. And if they do it, they've done what they've promised to do. But sometimes you're talking about a special circumstance and a special player. And you can't allow these type of players to leave the football club for free. You know, whether that's Ronaldo, whether that's Messi, whether that's Neymar, whoever, Salah, doesn't matter. Can't let them go for free. It's the height of stupidity. Liz said, have you watched any more Copa America? Yes, I'm trying to watch as much of it as I can, Liz. I'm going to try and watch the Mexico game later. I really enjoyed the Argentina-Chile game last night. I thought it was a lovely mix of physicality and good technical play as well. Craig, what's the minimum you would take for Salah? So, the more I've thought about this, right, I feel like there'd have to be some type of a compromise reached between Salah and Liverpool. So, let's say Liverpool were offered £80 million for Mohamed Salah by, I don't know, pick a club in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. At this point, I'd be open to a split. So Salah keeps a big chunk of the money and Liverpool keep a big chunk of the money. That would at least maybe benefit everybody. Liverpool bring in some of a transfer fee and Mohamed Salah gets a big chunk of change anyway. So I'd rather that than nothing. I just can't stomach seeing him leave and the club get nothing. That just strikes me as very poor management from our side. When did Central and North American countries join the Copa? They didn't. They play every so often. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is America's fifth time being in the Copa America. I think it's great though, because it certainly gives them a higher caliber of opposition to play against for Mexico, America, Costa Rica, I think Panama, Canada. I'm not sure there's 6, I think, nations in it. But I think it's brilliant. I think it's going to give them far better opposition and prepare them better for the World Cup that's coming up over in Canada, America, and Mexico. Or Canada and America anyway. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Do you think we'll sign a Feyenoord player? No, because the only one I thought we may look at, Tanya, was Geertruida, but it looks like Paris Saint-Germain are making a play for him. So I don't think so, unless Wiefer maybe. Looking at Jimenez, Santiago Jimenez, I don't know if he'd make it at Liverpool, nor do I think he'd get enough minutes. So no, I don't think we go back to Feyenoord for somebody. Jamaica is another one. Yes, Nick, thank you, Jamaica. Geertruida is a good player, absolutely, but it looks like PSG are making a play for him. So let's talk about Tyler Morton for a little minute, because lots of interest in Tyler Morton. Most recently from Florian Plettenberg, they said that Leipzig are interested in signing Tyler Morton from Liverpool. Liverpool have a valuation of about 20 million quid on Morton. It seems like Leipzig would like a loan deal at first with an option to buy, and according to Florian Plettenberg, Liverpool aren't entertaining any loans. If he's going to go, it's got to be for the fee. And look, I think it would be a good move. If he wanted to go and play in Germany, great club. Good structure. Obviously, we know the Red Bull model well. And I can see Tyler Morton. I could also see why Pep Linders would like to bring him to Salzburg as well. But for Liverpool, I think a 20 million valuation is quite fair. He is homegrown. We have to remember that. Do you know what kind of took me a bit back last night? Arsenal are looking to sell Eddie Nketiah. And according to the report last night, I think it was TalkSport said this, £50 million is Arsenal's asking price for Eddie Nketiah. I don't see how he is worth anywhere close to that, even in an inflated market, even allowing that he's homegrown. I think he scored 5 goals last season, maybe 6 for Arsenal. It just seems madness, 50 million quid. It feels like football's lost its mind at the minute. You know, you see some of the moves for the younger players and what they're costing clubs now. Players that have had very little, if any, first-team experience. It just feels like a really weird time in football for transfers. Selling Morton must have a buyback clause. I understand where you're coming from, but I would say no personally, because you're making a decision to say that the kid isn't good enough. If you're letting him be sold, you're basically saying he's not good enough and there isn't a place for him in the squad at the moment. I would maybe look at a sell-on clause, perhaps, but I don't think he's going to make the grade at Liverpool. But I do think he's good enough to have a decent career at a top level. Moraxme said that's the price for Jesus. No, it's definitely the price for Nketiah that I was talking about, mate, not Gabriel Jesus. I'm not saying maybe they aren't asking a similar fee, but I definitely know that the one that I looked at said Eddie Nketiah, not Gabriel Jesus. This is another story that I don't believe, but I've got to put it out there because it's been brought up. So Mundo Deportivo, again a Spanish outlet, are saying Liverpool are one of the options for Dani Olmo this summer, and he has a £50 million release clause that expires in mid-July. I don't believe this to be the case for a number of reasons. One, we've already signed the player that he replaced at Leipzig, who's better than him in Dominic Szoboszlai. So I don't think this is true. I just think this is, again, a Spanish outlet trying to big up a Spanish player, and I truly don't think Liverpool are interested. Lynn said, Craig, is there any truth on reports about problems with VVD's contract and a tight deadline on Mo's contract? So the only thing I've seen regarding Verge was that, and again, take this with a pinch of salt, there was talk that we're not going to start talking with them till the end of this calendar year. I don't know why that would be the case, or I can't say 100% that it is the case, but it's been reported. You've seen from the poll on the Echo how much people want to keep Virgin Trent. It's pretty clear. But the club at this moment in time seem to be certainly not prioritising it, would be a fair way of saying it, based off what we've seen over the last few months. Marty, how are you, bro? Said, I don't see Morton ever being in the first team. Bobby Clark, on the other hand, could be. I agree. I think Bobby Clark's the real deal. A good loan for him if Slot doesn't think he can get enough minutes. If Arne Slot thinks there's minutes for him in the squad, keep him in the squad. Bobby Clark's brilliant. Signed a new deal. I think a good loan for him would be nice if it's just about getting him playing time. But I agree with you. I'm really impressed with what I've seen from Bobby Clark. So, Barcelona have apparently been offered a Luis Diaz alternative, and you're not going to believe what it is. This says Barcelona have been given the chance to sign Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho this summer, which could be good news for Liverpool in the Spanish Giants' pursuit of Luis Diaz. This outlet, which is a very Barcelona-leaning outlet, has said that the priority is to sign a winger this summer. We know that Diaz is the preferred option. We've seen other names like Nico Williams mentioned, but these are talking about Jadon Sancho. What's interesting about it is the report goes on to say that Sancho would be open to a move to the new camp, which, look, I'm not surprised. Why wouldn't you be? Especially if you're, not getting a sniff at United under 10 Lasso. You've done well at Dortmund, but they can't maybe afford to buy you. I could see, yes, how a move to Barca would be attractive. But it does say that Barcelona are only interested in a loan at the minute, and Manchester United don't want to loan him out again. So, take that with what you may, but it is a mad one. On Trent, LiveScore put up a post to say Trent Alexander-Arnold created more chances than any other England player in the group stages, and he didn't play a single full 90 minutes. But it's all his fault. Because Conor Gallagher was the saviour until half-time, and then he wasn't. And then Kobe Mainoo came in, and to be fair, Kobe Mainoo looked tidy. But this Trent stuff has really angered me, because he's been like a lamb to the slaughter over there by the media and by some England fans. And I'm not saying Trent went over there and set the world on fire, but where's the questions of Kane and Bellingham and Saka? Where are those questions? Because Bellingham scored a goal in the first game and has been dog shit ever since for England. I calls it as I sees it. Kane isn't fit, and nobody convinced me otherwise. England look blunt, devoid of ideas, tired and fed up. And who can blame them, having Gareth Southgate trying to motivate them with the most monotonous style of football? And these players come from clubs where, their football's a lot better. Their managers are a lot better. Their teammates around them probably a lot better. But I'm not seeing any of the criticism. Like, Declan Rice can seemingly do no wrong. No matter what he does, no matter what England's result is, no criticism. Bellingham's the golden boy who was bigged up, a potential Ballon d'Or winner, into the tournament. What has he done? Scored a decent header in the first game and hasn't looked anywhere near himself. And there's talk that they might even try to rest him for the last 16 because he's so exhausted. But Trent's the problem. This is why so many of us hate seeing our players go away in England duty, because they don't get treated with the respect they deserve, in my opinion. And it's gone on for a while. Trent deserves way more respect than the way he's been treated by the whole England setup, including some of the media. Trent is just an easy target for clueless and shameless pundits, journalists and fans. Look, as I said, I'm absolutely open to the fact that Trent mightn't be in England starting 11. I've no issues with that. The manager has a way he likes to play, but don't throw him under the bus by making him the only change to your team. Like, Kieran Trippier looks like he's dead on his feet. Looks completely exhausted, and I don't blame them. So many of these lads have played a lot of football, and this is where we come into talking about who's looking after the players and the welfare, because the product suffers. And I've said this a lot. Maybe Bellingham's playing bad because he's tired. Maybe a lot of the England players are like that, which is why this greed of too much football needs to stop. IFI Mustard, I agree, Craig. Kane has been shite and probably not fully fit. Like, I'm a simple football fan, but when you see Harry Kane dropping deep for England, us lay people believe that if he drops deep, what has to happen is if the defender goes with him, a wide player targets the area that's vacated by Kane. And if the player doesn't come with him, then you feed Kane in the hope that he turns around and has a pocket of space that he can attack. But it's been weird. Like, when Ollie Watkins came on for a few minutes, England looked completely different. They looked like they had an angle, they looked like they had a player on the shoulder, and they looked like they could cause teams problem. But it feels like they're scared to take on Harry Kane or call it out in the media. It's weird. Anyway, sorry for going off subject there. I just wanted to get another defensive Trent in because I'm fed up of him being scapegoated. So, on Calafiori, bit of an interesting one coming out of Italy on Calafiori. So, Guilherme, don't tell me what to do or you'll be fucked out of the chat. Simple. I'll talk about what I want to talk about and engage with the chat as and when I see fit, bro. Don't tell me what to do. It won't end well. And there's better ways of broaching a subject with a bit of courtesy or, you know, being nice about it. So, this piece says Juventus had initially moved first for Riccardo Calafiori and reached a preliminary agreement with the player, but now any club interested must offer 42 million quid, which is mad again. I'm really confused by this, because last week he was 21 million quid. Everywhere you read, doesn't matter what outlet it was, the price was 21 million quid. Now all of a sudden it's 42 million quid. And I'm still okay at 42 million quid, by the way. I still think that's a reasonable fee for a centre-back. But it looks like it's going to come down to if we want to try and make a play for him or not. But usually when we're in this situation, we don't like to be in bidding wars. That's what I've noticed over the years with Liverpool as well. So yeah, let's wait and see, because I feel like Calafiori's future is going to be decided over the next few weeks. So we should have some type of outcome here. I don't know what that outcome might be, by the way, because you know a lot of Italian players like to stay in Italy, and Juventus is kind of the big deal in Italy, you know. So maybe he wants to stay in Italy and play there. And look, I don't blame that if he wants him, but I do like the look of him, and I wouldn't say no. Oh, is there a penalty? Penalty given. Penalty for Georgia. Nice. What's the 2-0. Does that mean that England play Slovakia? Is that right? I'm struggling to keep up to date with England's group. Wow. So that means 2-0. So am I right then in saying that means England play Slovakia? Because if I'm an England fan, I'd be a lot happier with that than taking on the Netherlands. It's a lot more less daunting. Is there any other player other than Mo that you want to be sold or loaned out? Yeah, Costas, I think, should be sold. Loaned out, yeah, look, there's probably a good few players if we went through the list on loans. I'd like to see Jaros' situation resolved as well. He's got 1 year left on his deal. There's talk that Linders would like to bring up to Salzburg, but you know, if we lose Kelleher and Adrian in one window, that's a lot of change in the goalkeeping department that we have to sort out as well. So I'd say yes, we need to look at a goalkeeper. Other players being loaned out. Nat Phillips, I think, deserves a move. 8 million is apparently too much money for Nat Phillips, at least with Cardiff anyway. Loans, it gets a bit tricky because we haven't had a chance to see Arne Slot assess the squad yet. So what happens with the likes of Carvalho is an interesting one. You know, I think he'll be given a chance, but If not, I don't think you'd have much of a problem finding a buyer for a reasonable fee. Reece Williams should be moved on. Off the top of my head, there's not many more I can think of, really, especially not first teamers. Slovakia is out. Are they? I'm very confused at what's going on in England's group anyway. Sorry. I thought it was down to Slovakia. I thought if Czechia won by 3 goals or less, or Georgia beat Portugal, it was Slovakia. And otherwise it was Netherlands. But look, either way, I could be just confused. Actually, can we get a poll, Connor, on what to do with Fabio Carvalho? Because I'm really interested to see what people think on this one. So the question was, firstly, before we finish up, what was a fair fee for Salah this summer? 90 to 100 million is what 32% of you guys have gone for. In second place, then, with 31%, was 81 to 90 million. And then 100 million plus 16%. So yes, what do we do with Carvalho? That's going to be an interesting one for me to see what you guys think. Antonio Silva having a nightmare. Oh, could be a chance there then for, a little cheeky offer to Benfica. Oh, look, so that's falling apart here, but we'll still take a punt on him. We'll still take a chance. What would you do with Kumas? I think a loan. I think him and Dan's both loans. I know there's a huge temptation to keep Jayden Dan's around, but we do need to remember he's still only 18. And what you don't want him to do is stall. You want him to keep banging in goals, enjoying himself, progressing. So I think loans for him and Kumas would be... remember, maybe a loan for Dan's with a possible recall if needs be. But certainly, Kumas, a full season loan. And with Dan's, my inkling, or my thought process would be to give him a loan. Just because I want him to keep scoring. And I want him to keep, showing the confidence he has. Because he hasn't missed a step so far. He's looked brilliant. And... I don't think he's ready yet, though, to be dropped into the first team. Who would you like as a left-back signing as Robbo's successor? I'm going to be honest, I don't have a successor yet. All I can think of is that Anthony Robinson would be an upgrade on Costas, but you're not sorting out the age profile there. I think we also have to keep an eye on what happens with a couple of young left-backs that we have with the club, like Chambers, Beck. What happens with their careers. If there's any chance the club view, let's say, Owen Beck as a long-term successor, then I think we can show a bit of patience there. But for me, I just don't think Costas gives us enough when he plays. Klopp seemed to really just use him as a winger in the end when we were struggling to break a team down or looking for a breakthrough or needing something at the end of a game. So for me, if we can find an upgrade and a club for Costas, I'd like that. Which sounds bad because I've nothing against Costas. He seems like a really lovely fella. But I've never been fully convinced by him at Liverpool. So Toe said keep Clark for next season easily. I just don't know where we give him the playing time, mate. Because if we brought in a 6... You have him, you've got Endo, you've got Gravenberch, you've got McAllister, possibly Trent, Szoboszlai. Who else am I forgetting about in midfield? I've said Gravenberch, haven't I? There's about 7 or 8 options in midfield. Bajcetic, another option. I just don't see where he gets the minutes unless it's a League Cup game. And that's not really going to be enough to help with his progression. I think the worst thing you can do for a young player who shows promise is stop them playing. I think these guys need competitive minutes, and it's really difficult to get that when they stay at the clubs because the Premier League 2, as an example, there's just not really enough high-level competitive games for these lads, so it's a difficult balancing act. Oh yeah, Curtis Jones as well. Yes, Curtis Jones as well. So, I just don't see where he gets minutes there. The number 1 anti-Mo channel. That's it, mate. That's me. Yeah, that's it. United fans are more respectful. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, they're brilliant United fans. Top notch, mate. Never done nothing wrong on anybody. I don't care what you think of me, mate. Honestly, you think I'm anti-Mo, no problem. Just keep sending me that money and I'll keep laughing at you like the idiot that you are. So, all good, man. All good. Thank you for the £2 though. Appreciate that. And again, as always, with most of my takes, in the course of time, I will be proved right. And it's not anti-Mo to cock facts that he's dropped off. It's the idiots like you that bury their head in the sand that are causing problems. People like me have the balls to say what most people don't. I think people like me deserve a bit more credit than assholes like you who don't have the balls to do what I do, but yet think you get to stand there and judge me. Try my shoes on and see how it feels. But yeah, fuck you, basically, is where I'm going with that. And look, I don't care if I'm called anti-Mo, by the way. Call me whatever you want. I've been called lots over the years. But ultimately, I support Liverpool, not Mohamed Salah and Mohamed Salah's interests. Mohamed Salah will be alright. He'll look after himself. He'll be fine. But brand Mohamed Salah is starting to be a bit of a pain in my ass, in all honesty, because there's too many people putting a player ahead of the club, and that shit isn't going to happen on my watch. Not on my channel, not in my community, not while I'm sitting here with breath in my lungs and a microphone in front of me. I'm going to say the shit that you know is right, but you haven't got the balls to say. You can write me a thank you letter if you want. There's no need. I'll just assume that you're grateful for having people like me with the moral courage to come on here and do what little bitches like you don't have the nuts to do. You're welcome. Man City have been experiencing significant success selling their academy players throughout, gaining good profit. Do we think we can do that as well? I find the whole young player thing weird at the minute. I don't know what to make of it, because I feel like there's a bit of a hypocrisy in it, right? Again, this is just my view. So you see all these players that are going for huge money, and all these clubs are saying that these players are prodigious young talents who, are so good that they're commanding these fees. But why don't you want to keep them then? Why, if all these players are generational talents that stand out a mile away and are commanding of such high fees, why don't you want to keep them? That's the part that confuses me in all of this. And until I can square off that, I don't know what the answer is yet, because it all feels a little bit grubby at the minute, with what's going on with younger players. Very well said, Craig. We support Liverpool, not Mo Salah. I know, they're idiots. And I'm going to say it again. They're idiots. They're idiots that think that you only have two options. You're either all 100% I hate somebody and don't want them to exist, or you're all in and they can do no wrong. Idiots. The truth of the matter is, we're all most likely somewhere in the middle. And I'm able to love something and still criticize it. Maybe these people just don't have the life experience or something, I don't know. But I look at my child and I give out to my child. But I still love my child. If my child falls down and hurts himself, I'm still going to be the first one running over to give him a kiss and a hug. Doesn't mean, I won't be critical of him. And I don't understand how it's this way with players. You can be critical of a player and still acknowledge the good stuff. I'm not on here saying get out of my club, you little fraud, or any of that stuff. I just have a strong opinion on it because I fully believe the best interest of the club would be served by bringing in a transfer fee. It's that simple for me. And his legacy is secure. I've never argued otherwise. The man's done what he's done. But I want Liverpool to be around for 20, 50, 100 years and successful and challenging. And I don't care if a player gets his feelings hurt at the end of the day, because, it's cutthroat business. It's football. They're all multi-millionaires at this point. I've never ever had this before with any other player in my whole time supporting Liverpool. Never. It's so odd to me that I really struggle to adapt to it. Because I could come on here tomorrow and say McAllister had a bad game. I could say that tomorrow and I wouldn't get any emails telling me I'm racist or I'm anti-Catholic but if I say anything negative about Mo in any context, the rush to call me an Islamophobe, racist, xenophobic arsehole is just frightening. I've never seen it before, and I hope I never see it again, because I think I've made it very clear over my time on this channel that I don't give a damn who you love, where you're from, or what your background is. I judge you on how I meet you, how I see you, and how you treat other people, and I'm welcoming and open to everybody. So it hurts when people go down that route, because it's just the easiest way to get out of jail without actually having to put up a debate. It's just accuse everybody else, and that needs to be cut out of society. If you don't want to come and have a proper debate, then don't enter the conversation and shut the fuck up. You don't just get to label people as things because you don't like the answer. Jota's not injured. He's not playing, so he can't get injured. Well, he is injured, I think. I think he picked up a knock for Portugal. Cologne, Wolfsburg and Bologna are all showing an interest in Sepp van den Berg. Now, surely here we can talk about a deal for Calafiori. If Bologna want him as a potential replacement, surely there's something to be done here. Because it looks like Van den Berg wants out. You know, he's been quite critical of the club. And do you know what? I get his point. I do get his point. You know, he hasn't really been shown the love too much at Liverpool. He hasn't really been given that much opportunity. So if he wants out, facilitate it, and yes, get a good deal for all parties. But if Bologna are interested, I feel like, you know, there could be something there that we could offer them that would maybe tilt the odds a little bit in our favour if we want Calafiori. Love is love, said Liz. Exactly. I don't care what religion you are or what sexual orientation you are. All I want for everyone that tunes into this channel is love and happiness. I don't care if you love men, women. I want you to be happy. I want everyone to be happy. I don't like divisions. I don't understand them. It's weird. Craig, players like Bobby, Verge, Alisson, Fabinho all get what it means to be at Liverpool. I don't know. I didn't kind of get that vibe from Salah. Feel he takes the piss sometimes. So, the turning point for me, personally, with the Mohamed Salah situation was the lunch with the PSG president and that photo being leaked. That to me was just the straw that broke the camel's back for me, because I've banged on about the distraction for a long time. I've banged on about his agent being a bit of a mouthy little arsehole at times, but he's always delivered on the pitch, and when people are delivering on the pitch, you do put up with a little bit more. But that just felt like, that just didn't feel great to me, seeing that picture come out. There was no justification in my mind for that. I don't care if you're friends. That's just a bad look. We need to talk about Slot's tactics. It's hard to have the conversation, bro, when we haven't yet seen him take a training session. All we can do is base off what Arne Slot has done at this point in his career, which is either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. They seem to be his two preferred systems. Similar in terms of pressing, but different in how we build up play. You'll see a lot more controlling of games with the ball than perhaps we've seen under Jurgen, where we're a little bit more direct, although still keeping possession a lot of the time. He takes more of a pattern from a Guardiola, maybe even a Xavi Alonso on that. I would expect more progressive passing and more overloads to be created. Whereas at times we were a bit more direct with Jurgen. So still expect really high work rate, good pressing from the players. But I'm intrigued and looking forward to trying to learn these little differences. But I'm really excited to see how Arne gets on with the team. IFI Mustard, Craig, I don't want any more Mo contract distractions. We've been there and done that. Yeah, we have. We have. Certainly, we have. And it's been a distraction. You know, you can't tell me that the AFCON stuff or the World Cup stuff between him and Mane wasn't a distraction. Or that the contract extensions that were hanging over our head for a full season wasn't a distraction. Or Rami Abbas chirping up on Twitter and kind of mocking the club and their offers wasn't a distraction. It is a distraction. And I sometimes have also felt like it's been brand Salah above the team. You know? And I can't help it if I feel that way. I'm not saying my way's the right way, but it's genuinely how I felt about him. I've never really been able to fall in love with him in the same way I have a Bobby Firmino, as an example. I've just never felt that selfless connection, if that makes sense. Would you set Trent a deadline for a contract extension? I think you have to, but not from a point of view of an ultimatum. I just think you have to have a cut-off point at some point for these. But the real question that I have on the Trent situation is, has there been conversations? Because, you know, we're not privy to that information. You would assume that there's been some type of communication. Like, I can understand the world where all the players, Mo, Virgil and Trent, I can understand the world where the three of them wanted to see who the next coach was, wanted to see what Liverpool's plan was, especially if you're like Mo or Virg. Because Trent has a bit more time in his career. But if you're Mo and Virg, and you're 32 and 33, and you're at the tail end of your career, you want to make sure that you're going to be at the business end of these competitions, that you're going to be challenging, that the club have the desire and the ambition to really go out there to win. So for them, I think it's more the project needs to make sense to these guys. Whereas with Trent's the one that blows my mind. Like, I don't for 1 second understand how we got here with Trent. Yeah, I just can't figure it out. I can do it with Virgil Mo because of their age and a few other reasons, but a Scouse vice captain who's just entered his peak years, has shown a versatility to be able to play in a few positions, has come back, I would say, last summer into this season and blossomed into more of a leader, more of senior figure. Certainly, his body language has suggested that to me. It's really confusing. I don't get it. Where is Matip going? So there's been some talk about Bournemouth for Joel Matip. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he may stay in England in the Premier League. And I'm glad of that. You know, the only problem I had with Joel's situation was that it was an ACL and his contract was coming to an end at the end of the season. Because with Joel Matip, we had somebody who was just, an honest pro, fantastic servant to the club. But he had an ACL at, an older age. And even with the best will in the world, it takes players a good 6 months of getting back playing football to really trust their body and do the things that they were once able to do. And our captain said that himself, having returned from a similar injury. And we didn't have that time to wait around for Joel, and his contract was up. It just felt really unfortunate because he's such a likeable man, a great servant to the football club, a damn good centre-back as well. It's just, that was a tough one. Toe said, Craig, stupid question. I don't know, but am I crazy for thinking that Benzema is the top 15 player of all time? I wouldn't put him in my top 15 of all time. I don't even know if I put him in the top 15 of my lifetime, to be honest with you. But I would say he's a fine footballer and has delivered and scored goals, but I wouldn't hold him in the same bracket. He had a very good end to his Real Madrid career there, where he was the guy, and he was always a good foil for Cristiano Ronaldo. But top 15 of all time, I don't see that, to be honest with you. No, I don't. How does Trent feel if he's Liverpool through and through, and yet we still haven't solved the uncertainty of his future? It's mad. I guess the problem we have as fans here is we don't know what's happened. So we don't know if there have been an approach to Trent, if Trent and his representative maybe said, we don't want to talk about this before the Euros, we want to concentrate on that, let's discuss it after then. We don't know. So it's difficult to speak about it from the player side. But I think we can talk about it from the club side, because we were briefed by the media that it was going to be before Christmas, and then after Christmas it was going to be before the end of the season, and then the Jurgen Klopp stuff came up, which kind of took everybody by surprise. And then February, when that news broke, everything was about getting a new structure in at the club, a new sporting director, a new coach, and then it all kind of got a bit hectic. So yeah, I'm just baffled by it all. Adam Brown said, never change, Craig. You speak your mind. Not many have the stones to do it, but much respect for you, mate. Love being part of your community. Can you name your Liverpool starting 11 after the window closes? Yeah. Let me just address your comment in full, but I will do the 11 for you. So look, I'm a fairly clever man. I know how much easier my life would be if I was Mr. Optimistic, that didn't criticise the club, that still showed passion and emotion, chose my words more carefully, and didn't make some very divisive statements. I'd be better off financially. I'd probably be closer to the football club, and I would have had a lot more opportunities from a business perspective. But as a human being, my moral compass is something that is all I have. And I've never been able to bite my tongue. And I say how I feel. I don't always say I'm right, but what I say is genuinely what's going on in my mind. I don't say it for effect. There's one thing I've said on a wind-up, and that's the Paul Scholes Henderson thing. That's the only thing I'll ever admit to saying intentionally to provoke a response. And that was in the earlier days of making content. Do you know what, mate? The amount of people like yourself, Adam, that come up to me and say what you've said, bro, it's good that we have somebody who, I might not always agree with you, but it's good that we have somebody that will say these things. Because I do feel it's important that people are held to account. And in this case, that's usually the owners. Because look at the media landscape right now in football. I can only really talk about it from a Liverpool perspective because that's my club. I feel like the media are browbeaten in that they're told a lot of the time subjects they can and can't talk about or ask or discuss. And they know the more they push, the less likely they are to have access or to be favoured for something. And it's not a healthy relationship in my eyes. If you can't take an honest, critical assessment, as long as it is coming from a place of honesty, I think we have a problem. And the same applies to politicians and any leaders. If you can't speak your truth to power, we have a problem. And I don't see enough challenging questions. We all see interviews with the same copy and paste questions. The same softball bullshit questions that nobody wants the answer to. Because we know it. Just a bit of honesty be lovely. And a bit more backbone from journalists would be lovely. But yeah, as I said, I'm not an idiot. I do know I'm shafting myself when I say these things, but I can't. It's me. It's just who I am. The Scholes Hendo thing was jokes. So I think I've told you that story before. It kind of got a little bit twisted in that I still hold my hands up to it. But the initial story was going to be, I don't think Paul Scholes belongs in the Gerrard Lampard debate. But I kind of got egged on a little bit to kind of make it a bit more punchy. And it was my first time doing one of those shoots. And I was a bit naive. And I played along with it. So I hold my hands up on that one. But other than that, everything I've said has been my genuine, honest opinion. Do I ever get recognised in public? The honest answer to that is I don't go outside very often. I left the house today to see my psychologist. I think it's the first time since the Belfast show I've left the house, which isn't great. I'm not saying that as a boast or anything, but yes, these days I certainly get noticed a lot more if I go out. And you know what? I'm very lucky. I have only had positive interactions with people, which is cool. I'm very grateful for that. You have your own morals and principles. You don't follow the other narrative, so credit for your honesty. I'm the same. So, I told you this story so many times. My mother used to always say to me that my mouth was going to get me in trouble because I was that kid that never bit my tongue. You know, I said things that were put my parents in uncomfortable positions at times. Later I found out I had Asperger's, of course, when I was 35, 36, and everything made a bit more sense to me. But until then, I think my parents thought I was just this weird little blunt child that said all these straight cutting things, like, and this is just how I talk to my own friends and family as well. Like, I don't have a tolerance for bullshit or waffle. Oh, you're 11. Yes, I did promise I'd do the 11. Right. So this is how I'd love to see us line up after the window closes. And I'm going to try and be realistic in it. Now, bear in mind, the 11 that I say doesn't mean that if I don't include somebody in that they're sold. They could be on the bench because I'm only allowed pick 11. So for the senses of this debate, I'm going to include every new player that I've brought in because I think it gives a better balance to it. So, Alisson, Bradley, Canade. No, sorry, let me start that again. Alisson, Bradley, Gay and VVD. Now, again, I know Gay plays a left-sided centre-back, but again, I just want to make sure that I get the people I'm bringing into the club in. So, Gay, Van Dijk, Bradley at right-back, Robbo at left-back. In the double pivot, Ederson and Trent. Ahead of them, McAllister centrally. To the left, Gakpo. To the right, Nico Williams, even though he plays more on the left, and through the centre, Darwin. So basically, I'd be bringing in Mark Gay, Ederson, and Nico Williams. They'd be the three signings I'd like to see brought in. Now, I know that isn't the most balanced 11 because Nico operates more off the left, but these are the players that I'd like to sign. What games did you think was disappointing? The United game at Anfield. That's the one. That United game at Anfield got me in more trouble than any other game in the history of this channel. Because that was the game I went really in on Mo and I went really in on Darwin. And I regret how far I went. That's the game. Because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe that we didn't destroy United that day. Because they're crap. And we were so all over the place. And I let my emotions get the better of me that day. And I was too harsh on Mo. And I was too harsh on Darwin. And that's my biggest regret of last season. So that game stands out to me without a shadow of a doubt. Because it's the one that I lost my cool the most with. And that I put my hands up for. I was too harsh. I was. Neither of the two lads deserve that level of criticism. But what gets me about it is, and particularly Darwin, nobody remembers the 500 times I've defended Darwin and said how much I like him and said how much I'd keep him at the club. It seems like, again, that's the only reaction anybody thinks about with me and Darwin. Which is the game, I guess. But like, I really like Darwin. But that day, I was just driven demented by those two lads. It's like Trent going back when we lost to Real Madrid at Anfield. I thought that was one of the worst games of football I'd ever seen from Trent. Modric was running past him in midfield. Trent looked like he didn't give a damn. And I let him have it that day as well. Because that's how disgusted I was at the performance. But I'm a bit more old school about that type of stuff. Like, I respond as a person to emotional input, you know, and shout at me and I probably go out there and play better because I want to prove you wrong. So I'm a bit more old school in how I do that type of stuff. Acentino said, I thought you were destroying them, but we should have won. Yeah, look, as I said, hands up, I was overly critical that day. I think I said something like, Salah can fuck off to Saudi and Darwin can do one as well. Something along those lines, if my memory's right. And look, hand up, I wish I hadn't have said those things in that manner. Connor said, disagree with your last point. I actually see a lot more comments saying you defend Darwin too much rather than criticise him too much. Can't win either way. Genuinely, I love Darwin. I always understand the frustration with him, but I'm an optimist with Darwin in that I feel he will put it together at one point and we'll see this incredible season. Might only be one, but my God, I'm looking forward to it. You know, like, tell me that Darwin's performance off the bench against Newcastle did not have you in awe, because we had no right to win that game. Down to 10 men, looked like we were never scoring, and then off comes our Uruguayan La Flama Blanca off the bench and just turned it around, and it was incredible. It was incredible. And only a special player can do that. You know, you've got to really have something about you to be able to do that. Craig, the important life question. Are you happy? Do you want the stock answer or the real answer? The stock answer is, yeah, everything's grand. The real answer is I'm struggling a lot at the minute. I'm really, really tired. I'm not sleeping very well. I've got some stuff going on. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough time at the minute. I won't lie to you, it is. But I'm very lucky that I have, you know, you guys to come on here. So is life, am I happy? A work in progress, mate. A work in progress. You held off from the Darwin criticism because your faith in him that game was just a breaking point. Yeah, it pretty much was, yeah. But it still doesn't make it right, you know. What's this one? So, Mundo Deportivo believe that Bayern Munich have set Joshua Kimmich's asking price at around 40 million euro, and several Premier League teams have been alerted to his availability. So on this one, there's been quite a bit of consistency from certainly the German side of this to say that there's only 4 clubs that Kimmich would join. I think I'm right in saying would join. And those clubs are Bayern Munich, no, sorry, those clubs are Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool and Manchester City. And I think we can rule out the two Spanish clubs for different reasons. So if it comes down to us or Manchester City, you know, it'll be interesting, because I wouldn't say no to Joshua Kimmich. But I just don't see it for some reason. I've seen it under Slot, I think, or excuse me, under Klopp, maybe more of a chance. I just don't know under Arne Slot if I could see him more going to Man City in that scenario. You know, let's say they moved on England's saviour, the man who isn't at the tournament, who Gareth Southgate feels like would have won England the Euro single-handedly. I think if Calvin Phillips was sold, I can see a world where Joshua Kimmich goes in there. I think I saw Arsenal in the mix as well. They seem to be linked to everyone. Like Nico Williams, Arsenal are there. Alexander Isak, Arsenal are there. Although so are Chelsea, and apparently 115 million is the number for Isak. And lads, if Chelsea sign Alexander Isak for 115 million quid, somebody better start doing some goddamn investigating as to how the hell they've again done that, because there's only so many 100 million plus transfers from one club I'm going to stomach, and they're supposed to be walking a tightrope for FFP, for UEFA. So if they can get 115 million quid to sign Isak, that would, that would stink to me. Craig, favourite Klopp moment last season? Oh, last season. Alright, I'm going to say something that I have to explain. So my favourite Klopp moment was during the last game of the season, after the game, where he was saying his goodbyes to Anfield. And I think the reason this is my favourite moment is because it just shows us the calibre of man he is. And that was him singing the Arne Slot song. Because he didn't need to do that. His destiny and legacy is secure with Liverpool. But because he is an amazing human, a very clever and astute man, and because he knows that that connection between Liverpool's fans and the manager is really important and can outperform anything else if they get it right. If that bond is there with the manager and the fans, magical stuff can happen. And Jurgen went out of his way to make sure that Arne got that welcome properly. And that to me was just, that nearly had me in tears, in all honesty. Like, I just thought, that's why he is who he is. And that's why we love him so much, because he's got that humility and that awareness and that ability to touch people's soul and just make them believe again. And it was amazing. I trust Edwards and Hughes, but you do have to wonder what will happen in the window due to the Euros and the Olympics. Don't want us to leave it until the end with an Arthur type deal. So if that is one of my fears as well, bro, it's understandable to an extent, because it is, as you've said, a very congested, condensed period where you've got the Copa America and the Euros, and then some players rolling into the Olympics as well, and even players who maybe, you know, go out of Euros fairly early still need to get a 3-week holiday in. So at the best of times it was going to be a tricky window, but when you throw in new backroom staff, a new coach, and you're playing catch up, yeah, it's a bit concerning. And with it being quiet as well, you know, you're starting to wonder what type of a window we're going to see here. And that's why we wanted to go with tonight a kind of more a statement rather than talk about a player, because right now it's all up in the air. We don't really know who we're looking to sign and who we don't. But I know what we need. You know what we need. And I just hope that if we do trust the process, because honestly I want to trust Edwards, I want to trust Hughes, I want to trust Julian Ward, Dave Fallows, Barry Hunter. But I can say all of that, and I still think John W. Henry's a cheap man, and I still think FSG are cheap. So it's hard to trust the process when the most important part of the process might not feel the same way about wanting to win. The Liverpool prophet said, I'm just so grateful we had a world-class manager who was happy work with no money, got the club and loved us fans so much. Oh look, he was incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. To be able to say that Jurgen Klopp was Liverpool's manager for 9 years, and it's fitting that he was the one who got the league title over the line after 30 years. It was amazing. It was. It was just some of the best football you're ever going to see as a Liverpool fan. And he was like a conductor of an orchestra on the sideline, full of emotion. Sometimes that emotion, like myself, can lead to saying a few snarly things to people that you care about or the fans. But all in all, good intentions, an honourable man, and just a great, great servant to our football club, and a pleasure to have had. Liverpool also need to sell players as well. Yes, yeah, we talked a little bit earlier on, Seamus. We do have some players we could do with moving on. Costas would be one for me. A few fringe players. I think if Barcelona get the money for Rafinha and come to the table for Diaz, I think what we can't have here is a lengthy drawn out process. If the club don't want to sell him, they need to hold that stance, and if the club do want to listen to the offer, we need to move on with that quickly as well. I have no want for Lucho to leave, but I also don't want a player who's unhappy, so that's a bit of a fluid situation. Darwin, not a chance to sell to me. Keep Darwin at all costs. I would sell Mohamed Salah, as I've said many times. And then I'm scared about Trent, because I will sit here and tell you I don't want to sell Trent, but I will also tell you we can't let it go into September 1st with Trent not signing a new deal. Can't happen in my eyes. It just can't. Then you're screwed, because January he can sign a pre-contract and go wherever he wants then in the summer for free. So that one needs to be sorted out, whether it's an unpalatable decision or not. It has to be sorted out. And I hope it's straightforward, because that's the one renewal that I'm really, really anxious about. Is the recent Carabao Cup the best domestic cup win in your life out of all the FA Cup and Carabao Cup wins? No. Beating Arsenal in the FA Cup in Cardiff when Michael Owen scored 2 goals, that one. Or Steven Gerrard against West Ham, where he was exhausted and the game started with an own goal, or a lucky strike, I think, from Konchesky that looped up over Reina. Those 2 finals stand out to me as domestic cup finals, because the Arsenal one that we won 2-1, we had no right to win that game. Arsenal were much better than us, but Michael Owen had these 2 moments and we won the game. And then the Gerrard FA Cup final as well, West Ham. It was just incredible to see from Stevie. Robster, how are you, man? Said United fan here, just wondering or wanting your thoughts on the Euro situation. Look, Robster, mate, I can see why your club, my club, or any club would be interested in any Euro. Quite frankly, we should be keeping tabs on somebody of the calibre of that young man. But it feels a bit beta, a bit weird that we're all kind of pretending that he's not going to go to Real Madrid. He's going to go to Real Madrid. I think saying that you want to be kept abreast of the situation in case it breaks down, I get it. But you can't be pinning any real hopes on it, because he's going to end up at Real Madrid, whether it's this season for a fee that Lille are happy with, or whether he goes on a free next year. Once the kid has his mind made up, and it genuinely does look like his mind is made up, that's where he's going to go. Madrid, we talked about the scouting profile on Lenny Ower from Madrid, and the tag was that he must be signed regardless of the cost and regardless of whether there's a place for him immediately in Madrid's first team, because he's a generational talent and he will be there at some point. He will be good enough at some point. So I just feel like we're all gonna... I think we look a little bit weak, both of our clubs, in this scenario, because it's clear what his wants are, and that's to go and play with Real Madrid. And that's okay as well, you know, because they are a pretty impressive outfit, like, so there's no shame in that. You know, we had the same with Tchouaméni. Klopp loved them. We all would love to have him. But Tchouaméni let it be known really quickly that he wanted to play for Real Madrid, and, you know, that was that. Robster said he was honestly my dream centre-back signing to replace Varane, but when Madrid come along, nothing you can do. It's difficult, yeah. You feel like a bit helpless. It's a mad one, like. It is, like, what... They've got the new stadium as well, like, now, the revamped Bernabeu. Bellingham, Mbappe, Vini Jr., Rodrigo, Valverde. It's ridiculous. So, I can understand his decision. Billy, how are you, bro? Said, I hope Liverpool make some moves. The fans need to grow some balls and use their voice. We do, but we... Oh, this is so weird, because I agree with you. I really do. But I think that the talk about it being a bit of a brinksmanship type window, like, when do the dominoes start to fall? When do, you know, is one move going to start to trigger a load of moves? It feels like that kind of window, doesn't it? And when you've got the shortened period as well of the international tournaments, the Olympics, yeah, it's a tough one to get business done. But I think to praise Jurgen a little bit more, if I can, this just kind of speaks to the good business that we got done last year. You know, imagine we didn't finish that rebuild as well as we did last year. Like, the fact that we know going into this season we have Alexis McAllister. I'm going to go as far as to say I think he's going to be one of the best midfielders in the world very, very soon, if he isn't already there. And to get him for, what, 40 million quid or something, ridiculous. It's incredible. And to learn then that there's no buyout clause as well is amazing, because Madrid were sniffing around and there was lots of talk that there was a 70 million quid buyout clause, which has been denied, I think, by David Ornstein or some prominent journalist. That's incredible. Szoboszlai, it felt a bit rushed, but a very decent signing. But he needs to deliver over a longer term. He started well and fell away. Gravenberch, I was unsure of, but now more than ever, I think that was a very astute piece of business. And Endo was a sticking plaster, but, you know, we need to address that area of the pitch. But they did a lot of that heavy lifting last summer, which was really good, because Alexis McAllister is so good. So good. Rivalry aside, pal, really appreciate you. You're such a nice guy. Thank you, mate. Look, I said this loads of times. I've been kind of lucky with United fans. They've always bantered me, which I love, but they've always shown me kindness as well, and I always appreciate that. I look at it this way: class recognises class, and I think both of our sets of fans overall are pretty damn impressive and pretty knowledgeable. And pretty different to a lot of other clubs' fan bases. So I know we hate each other on the pitch, but I think we've got a lot in common as well as fans, other than you picked the wrong club. Liverpool never lost the final at the Millennium Stadium. It was like home from home, wasn't it? It was a great time. We were lashing out the domestic cups during the time Wembley was being rebuilt. Right, so we do have an official round of 16. Spain, Georgia, Germany, Denmark, Portugal, Slovenia, France and Belgium, England versus Slovakia, Romania against the Netherlands, Austria versus Turkey, and Italy versus Switzerland. That is the draw and the route, as you can see on the screen there, to the final of the European Championships. England definitely on the easier side of that draw. For me, if England can get past that, is it Italy? Yeah, the Italy-Switzerland game. If England can get past the winner of that, you've every right to believe you're going to the final. As mad as that sounds, for as poor as you've been, I actually wanted to see England get the Netherlands, selfishly, because I knew some of our players were coming home then. We've got, 3 in the Dutch squad and 2 in the English squad? It's just Trent and Gomez, isn't it, in the English squad? Yeah, just Trent and Gomez in the England squad. So, yeah, I wanted that game because I knew at least 2 of our players were coming home then. If Darwin and Uruguay reach the Copa America final, can you do a watch-along? I'm going to be honest and say I'm going to just watch it. I've loved that time in the evening where I can kick back and watch the Copa America, because it's on obviously late at night, and it suits my weird hours that I sleep. So probably not gonna lie, say no, I'll probably end up just watching it. Harvey Elliott should be there. Yeah, absolutely. Elliott is, look, there's a lot of players that could make an argument should be in that England squad. The fact that Shaw went over, I just think that was the wrong decision. I rate Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's a great left back, but it feels like Kane's carrying a bit of a knock. Trippier's tired. I don't know if taking Shaw was a gamble worth paying off. The irony, though, for me has been the big questions about England before the tournament were about the defence. The fact so many players like Maguire or others were out. The defence has actually been quite good. It's been the other parts of the England team that have actually let Southgate down or fans down, I think, which is mad considering all the talk was about the defence going into the tournament. Oh, Jeff, you are right, bro. I forgot about that. Wasn't that the Gerrard own goal one, Jeff? The Millennium Stadium one. Was that the one Stevie G scored an own goal in? Trent needs to play right back, send Walker to left back. Yes, or put Joe Gomez on at left back. We've seen how good Joe Gomez has been at left back for Liverpool. I don't understand, particularly in the last game. I don't know why he didn't change the left back for that game and freshen it up a bit. Even just to manage a squad a little bit better. Like, Trippier looked exhausted in this tournament, and understandable. He works hard. He's a good, solid player, and he's played a lot of football. So yeah, I find it weird. Like, but then again, I've never rated Southgate. I don't understand why Real Madrid want Euro and they have Militao, Rudiger, and Alaba. I think the key is in that tag that I spoke about in the scouting report, mate. They wanted him because they know at some point in the next few years he is going to be a standout centre-back who could be their centre-back for 10 years. And they're willing to bide their time and ease him in. So it's almost commendable how much they're willing to stake their belief on him. That even if he's not ready to go right now, they're willing to give him that time. So they are looking to the future there. And sometimes for these generational talents, these are the type of things you got to do, I think. What do I think the final of the Euros will be? Connor, can we get that Euros draw back up for a sec? Can we talk about how well Nagelsmann's doing Germany? Yes, they look brilliant. Thank you, Connor. Right, so looking at, I'll start with England's side of the draw. I think Austria, Italy, or England will be in the final from that side. So I'm gonna say Italy, which is so weird because they don't deserve to be in a final, but I'm going to say Italy from that side against Germany. Germany. I think the winner of the Spain-Germany tie in the quarter-final will get to the final and will win the tournament. So that's my prediction. Whoever gets to through that quarter-final, if Spain beat Georgia and Germany beat Denmark, I think the winner of that wins the tournament. Your take on Eze to Liverpool. Do you know what got me down about it, Pizzo, earlier on? I was looking at the odds that the bookies had on it, and me and Connor were a little bit surprised as to who was the favourites. So, just for people who may be a little bit late in, the bookies have Liverpool as fifth. Is it fifth? Fifth favourites to sign Eze at 12-1. And look, this isn't an indication of anything. It just means that the money has been going down elsewhere. Spurs are even money to sign him, so they reckon he's going to Spurs. Arsenal then are next closest, but even they're 5-1, and City are 9-1. Chelsea 10-1. So we're on the same level as Newcastle and Manchester United. All of us, the bookies, have a 12-1 to sign him. So it's not looking like there's much belief that signing is going to happen in the betting public anyway. The one that I refuse to acknowledge was not being interested in is Nico Williams. I just something about this just doesn't feel like we've walked away or have no interest. I don't believe that we don't have an interest in him. I don't. I believe we don't want to get into a bidding war over wages, and maybe that his wages could be an issue, but I don't think it'd be enough to say there isn't value in the deal, considering the £45 million release clause. So that's one for me, I would say, despite the mixed feeling in the media, I refuse to believe that we're not still keeping an eye on him. Am I watching the darts tomorrow? Is it the World Cup of darts that starts tomorrow? Honestly, mate, I haven't had much spare time lately. It's been crazy busy. Yeah, you know, I haven't had a lot of time lately. So I don't know if I'll get a chance to watch it. Rachel, thank you, Rachel, for being with us for 10 months. Said, I'm getting a bit nervous for my wedding. Don't be nervous, Rachel. Just the one thing I wasn't nervous about my whole life was that, Rachel, because it was the easiest decision. You know, I was nervous about how the day would go, and, you know, you want everything to work out and stuff. But ultimately, it was about just that commitment to spend the rest of your life with that person, and that was a no-brainer for me. So I never really felt any anxiety around that part of it. Do you know what killed me about the wedding, Rachel? It was paying for a load of people to eat, and I didn't fucking like half of them. Do you know, that got to me. Like, looking at all these people there, and you're thinking 50 quid, 100 quid, 150 quid, 200 quid, and you're just like, I don't like half the people in this room. So yeah, look, it'll be good. And what I'd say to you is, even if it all goes wrong on the day, if the cake fell over and the meal was shit, the band were terrible, it's about celebrating your love. It's about celebrating the fact that you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person and start your journey. Oh, now my wife's walked in. What have I done? Why am I in trouble now? Bye. You're marrying the one you love. That's all that matters. Exactly. It's they're mad overpriced affairs anyway, Rachel. The whole wedding thing, like, it's crazy. I wanted to just leg it off to Las Vegas with myself, Sabrina, her parents, my mother, my mother's husband, and Sabrina's grandmother and brother. I wanted to just go to Vegas and do it there. But, you know, Sabrina wanted the family stuff, so we did the family thing. But yeah, just, you're marrying the right person. That's all you need to be concerned about. The rest of it's all just window dressing.
You had to disappoint me, Granny, and have a registry office.
Yeah, I did refuse to get married in a church. That was the one thing that I was firm on, because none of us are religious, so we got married in a registry office. Sabrina, what did your granny tell you? If you got married in a church, you'd burn?
No, she said I've had it. She said, oh, you're not getting married in the church. And I said, no, had a child out of wedlock, I'll burn down the aisle.
No,
Yeah.
that's Sabrina's Horonomics 101.
Oh,
I'm not saying it, love.
my granny was evil.
Mm-hmm. My tables were all Liverpool teams. The top table was called the Cop, said Mark. Nice. Where did you go on your honeymoon? We went on a cruise around the Caribbean. Why are you still standing there?
Because you usually forget where we went.
No, I have got it. Don't
Oh.
worry. We went to Mexico, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Labadee Espanol, an island owned by the Royal Caribbean off the coast of Haiti, and Miami. Should I continue or? And it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. It was definitely the best part of the whole wedding experience was the honeymoon. Do you want to do the stream? Do you want to do the stream or? This is genuine now. My wife just opened the door to say to me, don't forget to tell everybody about Hooters. Because the first night we were in Miami, we went down the town and Sabrina, not me, my wife spotted a Hooters and dragged me into Hooters and wouldn't leave Hooters until she got a Hooters t-shirt. One of the little vesty t-shirts. Because she had to be Hooterific or she wasn't leaving. Now what I will say was, they had nice chicken wings. They had nice chicken wings. But yeah, she was not leaving until we went into Hooters. So we had to go into Hooters, you know, fully dragged in, kicking and screaming like, oh no, all these damn boobages, I don't want to be here. Oh, that was fun. Do you know there's another mad place actually over in America? Is it the Tilted Kilt? Is that the other one? The kind of Scottish themed one where it's kind of similar? I made sure that we frequented that place just so we could have a comparison, you know, just for research purposes. Oh, was Twin Peaks another one? See, Sabrina knows all the titty spots. Look at this. Sabrina's got it all there. Don't forget the strip club, Craig. Don't forget over here. There you go. And this is the wife, like. Sabrina has to wear the vest top for the Liverpool show. I don't know if she still has it. You do still have it? Oh no, we need to see the vest now. I need to prove this. So get the vest. You don't have to wear it. I'm going to have to show you the vest now just to prove that I'm not lying. I'm getting married in a church. Gonna be in a hotel in Lincolnshire where I come from. Nice, nice. And also, Rachel, I'm still waiting for my invite as the pastor of this event, you know? I feel like I should officiate over this wedding. And also, congrats. Yeah. Twin Peaks, home with a big jug. There you go, Jay, bro, yeah. So we don't have these type of things over here in Ireland, so obviously had to go and investigate. I feel like Calafiori would be a great addition to our defence. I hope FSG invest in him. So do I, Pizzo. So do I. He looks like he's got a lot about him. My fear is that he might be one of them players that just wants to stay in Italy. But if he's open to it, definitely wouldn't be the worst move in the world. Do I have a personal Twitter account? No, I don't. I left Twitter about 2.5 years ago. Actually, all social media. I don't have a social media profile. And I don't control any of the Anfield Agenda ones. I stick clear of social media because I couldn't cope with the trolling. Hey, there's Brian. Sabrina in a vest. What the heck did I miss? There he is. We were just telling a story, Brian. Somebody asked where I went on our honeymoon, and I said that we went on a cruise from Miami around the Caribbean. But that down in Miami, there was a Hooters. And Sabrina was not leaving Miami until we went into Hooters and she got a t-shirt. Which was, you know, something, it's my cross that I had to bear, Brian, you know. Difficult as it was to have to go in there, eat chicken wings, looking at boobs everywhere. It was difficult, man. But you know me, Brian, I'm a team player. And also, thank you very much again, Brian, for dropping in. Only 4 days to go now, Brian, till the tournament that you're playing in. See? There you go. Hooters Miami. And on the back it says, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. See? There you go. Meanwhile, Craig looking 30 minutes at the menu and the wings are on the floor. Yeah. Did I order food? I don't remember.
They made the orange shorts smaller.
Yep. Put it on. It ain't fitting me, Evie. It ain't fitting me. I can promise you that. But yeah, there you go. Genuinely, like that, she wanted to go in. So, you know, I'm a team player, so we went in. If we win the league, you've got to put that on. No. Yeah, barely fits Sabrina, as she said. There's no way my chunky ass is fitting into it. All I remember is the scenery was fantastic. No, genuinely, all I remember about it was that the chicken wings were actually pretty nice. That's oh, that and the price of the t-shirt was ridiculous. It was like $28 or something. I remember being astounded by how this tiny little vest was so expensive. But again, on holidays. Oh, what's the poll? Should Craig put on the vest? Yeah, there's not enough super chats in the world, Connor, for that to happen. Burger was underrated there, said Asantino. I didn't have a burger, mate. I just had the chicken wings. Sabrina had mozzarella sticks with marinara sauce. I don't know why I remember these things so clearly. But yeah, there you go.
I remember being confused when they asked us if you wanted cheese with our chicken wings.
It's a Morca.
Cheese with everything.
The people vote yes. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. On my 40th birthday, said Dave, I put on a mankini and put my wife right off for dinner. I thought you were going to say you wore it out for dinner, Dave. Now that would have been fun. Right, I haven't mentioned this all stream, so I'm going to finish up with it if that's okay. Don't forget about our... Is it this one? Nope. Where is it? Nope, it's gone. Don't forget about our live shows. I must have deleted the image. Yes, do not forget about the 2 Anfield Agenda live shows that are the last ones we're doing. So if you want to come and see us in either Cardiff or Liverpool, you can get your tickets via the link pinned to the top of the chat or in the description of the video or by scanning that QR code on the screen. We did release the extra 75 tickets for Liverpool. I think there's about 50 of them left. But if they sell, there's nothing else we can do. It is done. And... please do come along and join us for what's going to be a great night. Carl Porter is joining us for a comedy set in Liverpool, and in Cardiff you're going to get to meet the whole Anfield Agenda team, including partners, children, the whole shebang. So both of them include meet and greets as well. Tickets are priced at just £15 and you can get your tickets with those links. So a news recap, absolutely no problem. We'll fly through the news recap before we finish up tonight. So we started off with a bit of an interesting poll that's on the Echo's website. So you can go over to it and you can vote for, would you keep or would you sell this player? And you go down to the whole Liverpool squad. And what surprised me about it was that although 97% of Liverpool fans would keep Maka, 94% would keep Trent, 92% would keep Virgil, only 53% would keep Mohamed Salah in this poll. Obviously, the contractual situation has a part to do with that. But then again, Trent and Virgil's is the similar one. And they're both up in the 90s. Another thing was Joshua Kimmich, Florian Plettenberg said a separation between Kimmich and Bayern is getting closer. Now or next year at the latest. Kimmich will be ready to go in the final year of his contract. He only wants to join City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid or Barcelona. Arsenal's name is a new one that's been added to that list because for the last week it was Liverpool, Man City, Real Madrid or Barcelona. Then we spoke about Tyler Morton and the interest growing in him. Liverpool have put a €20 million valuation on Tyler Morton, £20 million valuation, and Leipzig are the most interested at the minute. They've made an approach to Liverpool. Initially they wanted a loan. Liverpool told them that no loans, it has to be a permanent deal, and those talks are starting to progress. Then we had Ben Jacobs say that Liverpool cannot, repeat, cannot be ruled out of the race to sign Nico Williams. He has a release clause of over £45 million, which is seen as good value in this market. Then there was a link from Mundo Deportivo to Dani Olmo and Liverpool talking about his £50 million release clause, which expires in mid-July. To the best of my understanding, there's no interest there. And this one I haven't spoken about yet tonight, and it is a hands-off warning for Kvaratskhelia from Antonio Conte. So we've already seen in the past week Kvaratskhelyia's father and agent say categorically that they want him and he wants to leave Napoli. But Antonio Conte has said, in addition to being a top player, I consider him a good person, important to the locker room. Then he was speaking about Kvaratskhelia and he said, I know the situation of all the players very well. I vetoed Kvaratskhelia, Di Lorenzo, Lobotka and Guisa. Osimhen is a different situation. I already knew that, but I'm not going into discussions for him. He basically said there's no way Kvaratskhelia is leaving on his watch, which is totally at odds with his agent and his father. Then we spoke about the odds for Eberechi Eze and his next club. Liverpool are priced at 12-1, the same as United and Newcastle. Favourites are Spurs, even money. Arsenal 5-1. Manchester City 9-1. Then we talked about the alternative for Barcelona for Luis Diaz, which is apparently Jadon Sancho. Although they only want Sancho on an initial loan and United want to sell, so it might not be possible there. Then there was the statistic from LiveScore that showed Trent Alexander-Arnold created more chances than any other England player in the group stages, and he didn't even play a full 90 minutes. Breaking news then coming out of Tutto Sport saying Juventus had initially moved first for Riccardo Calafiori and reached a preliminary agreement with the player, but any club interested must now offer £42 million. Follow that up with the news that Bologna are one of the clubs interested in signing Sepp van den Berg, which means surely if we're interested in Calafiori and they're interested in Sepp, you would imagine that there's a deal to be done there. Also Southampton, Wolfsburg, and who's the other one? There's another club somewhere, sorry I can't see it at the list. They're all interested in Sepp van den Berg, and obviously Mainz would love to keep him there as well. We already spoke about Joshua Kimmich, and then we just went through and we spoke about the draw for the Euros. That's kind of where we're at the minute. So look, my friends, I'm going to call that one a night. We will see you tomorrow at 8:30 for another live stream. And until then, there'll be a video coming out at midday tomorrow and another one about 5 o'clock as well. So hopefully we have a bit more news tomorrow night when we catch up at 10:30. Until then, please do hit that subscribe button for me if you haven't done so. Drop a like on the stream. Thank you all for tuning in. Look forward to catching up with you soon. Much love. Have a good one. Bye-bye.